students who are interested in the modern languages pathway that we have. Okay, so who am I? I'm a freshman student here at WKU. I'm also a junior at the Carol Martin Gatton Academy, so I am still a junior in high school. And I am currently in Chinese 102 in the Modern Languages department. Okay, so what am I going to talk to you about today? Today I'm going to talk to you about my trip to China, which really got me interested in the Chinese language as a whole and just learning the culture. I'm also going to talk to you today about how I learned Chinese, just to really show you, I guess, how us students here and the people that are presenting, how we really learn the language that we're talking about today. Okay, so my trip to China. So this was through the University of Kentucky in partnership with the Confucius Institute. It was 2 weeks long. We traveled to Shanghai, Xi'an, and Beijing. So as you can see, here's some pictures. This is in the Old French Quarter in Shanghai. This is in the Xi'an City Wall. Also, this is my first experience with Chinese language. We took language and culture classes at the Shanghai University, and we toured major landmarks in China, such as the Great Wall, as you can see here, and Tiananmen Square. Really, during this trip, it was very interesting because I got to view, it was the first time that I'd really viewed Chinese culture and been immersed in the language, because I never was introduced to Chinese language before. And one of my friends had told me about this trip and said that their brother had went, and it was a very fun experience and that they enjoyed it a lot. And I thought I would go as well. And for anyone that is interested, this is open to any high school students, grade 9 through 12. That's sadly if you're a college student and it's not available. Okay, so the food. So the food was amazing. I just wanted to give a little separate slide to it because it was very good. I have 3 pictures here, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. There's breakfast. It was interesting. That's a steamed bun with red bean paste. Very odd, but it was good. It was interesting. Here's a bowl of noodles. These are also very good. These were served to us at the Shanghai cafeteria at the university where we took classes, as I mentioned before. And this was a dinner that we had. So something that was very interesting to me was how Chinese meals are served. They typically serve them on a round table where you take the food and you put it up on your individual plate. And I really like that idea. I found it more interesting than, I guess, how Americans do things. Also, the food here, as you can see, is very different than your typical American Chinese food. I know we have a Panda Express on campus, and as you can see, it doesn't look like anything we have here. But it was still very good. An interesting story was, as this bowl of noodles, they were very good, but the noodles were very long. And as I was eating them, I kept slurping them, and they got all over my white polo shirt. And we had to go tour the school the next day, or the next hour, so not the next day. And I got them all over me. I got the sauce all over me. It was very embarrassing, but I really wanted to take a try at just eating the noodles how they should be, but I didn't do as well. So what did I learn? So never be shy when learning a new language. I was very nervous on my trip to China just because obviously I was a foreigner and I didn't speak the language at all. But eventually I know now that practice makes perfect, and don't be embarrassed if you make a mistake. Also, Chinese culture is just as important as the language, as I learned when going over to the country. So it's more than just the language, it's the culture that's associated with it. Okay, so this is just to show you, really my trip to China got me interested. This is just to show you really my trackway so far. So my trip to China got me interested in the language. And then after that, I went to my home high school and I talked to my teacher about maybe being put in a Chinese language class. And I hope that now, after coming to WKU and taking these modern language courses, that I can one day hopefully get a career that really uses the degree that I get. I would like to be a teacher in China. I'm really interested in English and social studies and STEM as well. Okay, so my next steps. So, like I said, my trip to China encouraged me to learn Mandarin, as I knew that one day I would return and be able to speak the language. Also, I was able to take online Chinese through my home high school, but that was during my sophomore year. And during my sophomore year, I also learned at the Carol Martin Gatton Academy and the possibility of being put into Chinese modern language or flagship classes once I had been accepted. Okay, so my first Chinese class. So this was through Rosetta Stone. So maybe has anyone here heard of Rosetta Stone? Yeah. Okay. So it was very good at teaching pronunciation, but there are characters here, but it really didn't require you to know the characters. And since I didn't have a teacher there to explain to me which ones I should use in grammar, I typically just use pinyin. But as you know, that's not as effective because usually people in China don't use pinyin, they use characters. Okay. So after getting accepted to the Gatton Academy, I chose to be put in the modern languages pathway. So last semester I took Chinese 101, and right now I'm taking 102. So typically this is just some examples of things we do to keep in touch in the class. Like here's WeChat. This is our group with all of our students, including me. And we use that really just to study, to make study tips, to talk about when homework is due, just so we stay updated on the class. And also here's a vocabulary list. This is an example of how we have characters, and we have our opinion, and then we have our, they're English translated, so you know how to say them. Okay, so we use the Routledge Modern Mandarin Chinese textbooks and workbooks. I really like these because they're very good at giving dialogue examples, and they're good at really teaching you the grammar of Chinese, and I think that's really helpful as our grammar differs a lot in Chinese from English. And also, just shout out to my instructor, Li Lao Shi, she's in the crowd right now taking pictures. So, for Chinese, I like to study in very different ways. Typically, as you see here, we have character writing sheets just to show you the appropriate strokes on how to write characters. Also, here it's just a group chat with my friends. I call them Zhonglin Pengyo because we all study together. And also, here's a unit test. This just typically shows you how you're quizzed over our knowledge. And we usually have oral reports and different ways to keep us interactive and engaged in learning the Chinese language. So next, I'm going to show you a mini oral report that I had to give to my teacher. This is just going over the cardinal directions in Chinese. So this is just to show you an example of some of the things that we do in our class. Is the sound on? Oh, okay. I don't know if we have sound on. But typically, in that I'm just going over the cardinal directions, just going around and giving the oral report on where everything is related to the city center in that picture. Okay, so next I was going to show you a video of the voice of WKU, but since we, okay. Thank you.
We do have a singing contest, so you can come back and sing it.
Yeah, so we do. Actually, while we were getting the sound on, this is called the Voice of WKU. This was just a competition of different students that using their Chinese knowledge to sing a song. So these are me and my friends. We sang "Dui Biqi Wo De Zhongwen Bu Hao," and yeah, here it is. You can hear it. Yeah, so this was our first semester, so "Dui Biqi Wo De Zhongwen Bu Hao." yeah, so that was just our little song that we gave. So, if anyone has any questions about me as a modern language student, they can ask them, or any questions about my experience with Chinese, I would be happy to give them. Thank you for coming today. 谢谢. Thank you for listening.